Today, we will witness the official signing of the deed of donation and the turnover of electronic gadgets that will immensely benefit the Filipino learners in their distant learning during this pandemic. And now, to give a welcoming remarks, may we call on the Commissioner of the Bureau of Customs, Ray Leonardo P. Guerrero. A warm round of applause, please. Good morning, honest of the Department of Education of the University staff present, the Secretary Carlos Rodriguez III, of the Department of Finance, the Deputy of the Bureau of Customs present, Collector Maria Revelas of the Court of Courts, and some of the development workers in government. Good afternoon and welcome to today's turnover of related equipment by the DOC to the Department of Education. The goods to be turned over today are 198 pieces of Huawei MateBook D15 and 4,840 pieces of Oppo smartphones that were seized by the joint elements of the Bureau of Customs and the Department Development Corporation, particularly Task Force Avila, during anti-smuggling operations. This is proof that the sustained effort of the Bureau of Customs against smuggling has gained momentum, especially with the help of partners like the Clark Development Corporation. Jointly with the Department of Finance, the Bureau of Customs deemed it appropriate to donate the seized goods to the Department of Education to support its distance learning program. This donation aligns with the call of the President to make every effort to contribute to the objective to be as one. I'd like to assure our countrymen that different agencies of government are working together to help our country recover much faster in this country. Once again, to our guests, welcome and good afternoon. Thank you very much, Commissioner Guerrero. It is so gratifying to know that after this ceremony, some of our less fortunate students who are struggling in their online classes during this pandemic will not have to worry anymore. Moving on, we will now proceed with the signing of the deed of donation. Let's all give them a warm round of applause, please. Official turnover ceremony between the BOC and DepEd, a total of 5,038 devices composed of 1,600 units of Oppo A9
and 3,240 units of Oppo A31 mobile phones, as well as 198 units of Huawei-made laptop devices will be officially turned over to the donor. These gadgets were part of the apprehended items of the Port of Clark, which were being transported out of the Clark Freeport Zone last year. Thank you so much. At this juncture, we will hear a message from the Secretary of the Department of Education. Please welcome Honorable Leonor M. Briones. Warm round of applause, please.
At least this time, hindi na kami nawawala. I don't know, it's time they come, nawawala kami. For some reason or another, different batches of students. And I hardly recognize uh, the internal, changes, both physical as well as the methods of collection of the Bureau of Customs. And I'm so happy as a taxpayer as well as a government policy maker that the Bureau of Customs has initiated many initiatives in automation. I was telling Commissioner na panahon pa ni Lima ko, inalili yung naririnig na lang niya yung pangalan on Customs Commissioner Lima ko na so many strategies were developed in order to make the Bureau of Customs and also the finance family more effective. But automation is something, is a development which that for would be not only the physical changes, but also the changes in, as I said, in operations and that is wonderful beauty acquired. I would like to suggest that perhaps your video and your information programs can be made available to the different schools, whether high school or college or graduate level. Because many are not aware, there's even citizens themselves are not aware of all the initiatives that have been undertaken in the Bureau of Customs. And universities teaching public finance have never set foot inside the Bureau of Customs. You have not gotten lost in traffic. The way my students always get lost in traffic is time they come here. And if you want to encourage students to comply with our laws, with our regulations, they have to have an appreciation, of course, of what it takes to be efficient, what it takes to provide the funds that will enable us to build our schools, enable the Department of Public Works to build all the infrastructure, to maintain government, and of course, to protect and assure the security of our country. All of these need revenue and expenditure. Uh, and we just take it for granted. So I'm very happy. Thank you, Commissioner. You might be wondering why I took the effort of physically visiting. This is the only other agency which I physically visited aside from Malacanang, of course. Most of our visits are done virtually. But I thought it would be a good homecoming. And I'd like to congratulate all of you for all the efforts that you have expended in further improving the operations of the Bureau of Customs. And now on to the benefit that you have always, and the attention that you have always contributed to the Department of Education. The first thing I usually teach my students in public finance is that the early days of states, of governments, of kingdoms, there were only four functions to be funded. One is the protection, of course, of, of the country or of the state. Second, education. Third would be infrastructure, like Rome built roads and bridges and huge structures all around in the ancient world. We have no Egypt. And finally, also to maintain the government itself, whether headed by a king or by a prime minister or whatever. Because government has to be. So apat lang yan. At present, government is expected to render so many more. Ang haba-haba ng listahan as to the expectations of our citizens and what government should do for them. Pero, ang education hindi talaga nawawala. Number one pa rin sa budget. And I appreciate the fact that even noon pa, customs was already contributing to education. It's a classic mode of what is the function of government. And hanggang ngayon, this is still articulated by the Bureau of Customs. What makes it so meaningful for us in the department is that we did not go begging to the department, to the Bureau, and say, "Uy, kung may mga ano kayo dyan, tapon mo nyo naman sa direction namin." But you do it upon yourself. So this is in keeping with the tradition of supporting education, even way back in, as I said, early days of the state. So, salamat for your faithfulness. Salamat to the Department of Finance for always giving priority to education. It always gives us so much joy and happiness if we campaign for something that we desperately want, and it is given to us. But the joy is greater when we didn't ask for anything, and it is nevertheless given to us because it is part of the tradition of revenue collection to support education as a major endeavor and responsibility of the state and of the government. It is in the slide that I'd like to express once more my personal congratulations and appreciation to the Bureau of Customs and the Department of Finance. Solicited gifts because we campaign aggressively for contribution to our projects. And we have an office devoted to this activity, but the unsolicited information are even more appreciated because it signals a recognition of the importance of the function of continually seeing to it that the future of our learners is assured. Your gift, your donation of budgets, very meaningful to us because right now we recognize, we're talking about it kanina with Commissioner, we recognize that we have to move in the direction of technology as we nurture and teach our learners. We initially started with printed modules because our surveys showed that parents prefer printed modules. And even as we knew that right now you have more cell phones and smartphones at that than humans. Because 159 million smartphones floating around, cell phones floating around, and see that this has to be utilized for the advancement of knowledge. Printed modules are very useful. I've used the printed modules. I like handling, physically handling materials because you make notes on the side. You go back again and again to the portions that you like. But we see that one is the most expensive, more expensive than technology. Secondly, we're going to decimate all the trees, our environment, because we'll be needing a lot of paper every year for 25 million learners if we totally rely on printed folios alone. And I'm saying this and sharing this with you, so you appreciate all the more in the Bureau of Customs how important your contributions are. Because for each computer, for each laptop, for each tablet that you donate, that perhaps you're saving a few more keys. You're preventing floods. You're preventing desertification, which requires a lot of paper and stuff. So, maraming salamat. I can spend an entire semester explaining to you the history of the Bureau of Customs. Do it from the time of Robin Hood and the different kings and parliaments and so on and so forth. Dr. Rapa. Um, and what tries to say, and again, your donation, very meaningful, it's very one because it is unsolicited. Secondly, because it is funds to a direction of policy thrust of the Department of Education to utilize technology to disseminate learning. Third, it helps us solve in a very real way the equity problem of our students, especially in the public school, who may not be able to afford all the requirements of digital education. So, maraming salamat before I get carried away and spend the entire week uh, telling you about all the delicious stories about customs. And thank you for listening. Uh, welcome, thank you to Secretary Sunny. Thank you to Clark Development Corporation. I understand that another donation might also be in the works. I saw it in the newspaper, and we are looking forward to it. In the meantime, Yusek Labs and Jessica Lane will advise me on the schools who are most deserving and most needy and will benefit most from your donation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for the very thoughtful message. For sure, a lot of students, not just the ones who benefit from these gadgets, but also those students who know how truly genuine your heart is, would be greatly inspired by your kindness. Once again, Honorable Leonor M. Briones. Honorable Trustee. At this juncture, we will now hear the response from our esteemed Secretary of the Department of Finance. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Honorable Carlos G. Dominguez. A warm round of applause, please.
Thank you, Secretary Liling Briones of the Department of Education, Commissioner Leonardo Guerrero of the Bureau of Customs, Engineer Marisa Mandokdok, Vice President of Clark Development Corporation, fellow workers in government, friends in media, good afternoon. First of all, I want to acknowledge that Secretary Liling Briones was the most outstanding national treasurer the Philippines has ever had. So she really belongs to the family of the Department of Finance. Please give her a big hand. I thank Commissioner Guerrero and his team for their unstinting support of all our efforts to fight the pandemic and keep our people safe. The Duterte administration has made the protection of our people's lives and well-being the first priority in this global health emergency. We have mobilized all the available resources we have to fight COVID-19. We chose to absorb the economic losses to keep our health mitigation measures in place. Specifically, we have canceled physical classes and shifted to blended learning to keep our children and their families safe. Blended learning is the best recourse we have at this time, even as we have no sufficient digital infrastructure and our students lack the tools to fully appreciate the possibilities offered by remote learning. We need to utilize whatever available resources we have. Completely suspending educational work is much more costly to our youth. I commend Secretary Liling Briones for the relentless effort that the Department of Education has put in to keep the classes going despite all odds. I am sure that the Department of Education will find the best use of the e-learning devices turned over to them today by the Bureau of Customs. The apprehended 198 laptops and 4,840 smartphones were the result of the joint efforts of the Bureau of Customs and the Clark Development Corporation against smuggling. I commend the Bureau of Customs for not letting their guard down even during these challenging times. Our customs officers have continuously modernized their processes and intensified their efforts to combat illicit trade. While these devices may not be significant to close the great digital gap in our society, the donation signifies all government agencies' willingness to support the continuing education of our youth during these most difficult times. Be assured that the Department of Finance and its attached agencies will always stand ready to assist the Department of Education in realizing President Duterte's goal of building a better future for our youth. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the valuable response, sir. This won't be possible without your invaluable support. Once again, Secretary Carlos G. Dominguez. Before we formally end today's event, a memento and a copy of the Bureau of Customs Annual Accomplishment Report for 2020 will now be presented to our guests of honor. Thank you very much. A warm round of applause, please. I'd like to invite all the officials to please proceed to the front for the photo overtaking. Yan. Ready. Once again, let us give them a warm round of applause. And that finally concludes our ceremonies for today. Have a safe trip back home and let us continue our drive to serve the country and our fellow Filipinos. Once again, I am Joe from the Public Information Office. Good afternoon and Godspeed.